Hey, this is Bob Gilmore with DJB Radio, and we're going to have our famous, wonderful Jim King show you some of the great features of our automation products. We make automation easy.
Hi everybody, I'm Jim King with DJB Radio, one of the integration techs and salespersons here. I want to talk about DJB Radio Automation, our mid-range package that you can purchase, value priced but very feature packed, and I want to show you some of those things right here at DJB Radio. What you're looking at right now is our DJB Radio Automation. This is the on-air screen. We're going to go through a number of the different features that are on here. We'll start with the hotkeys, as we have 10 different hotkey buttons that are available under one button. And we also give you 10 different buttons that you can choose from. So endless possibilities. In this configuration, we have sound effects and IDs. You can put in your commercials if you want. Some people load it up with programs. The endless uses are entirely up to you as to how you would like to configure that. Here's a look right now at the audition button, as we have all the different yellow buttons at the bottom, each one having a different feature. We just talked about hotkeys. The audition pane will allow us to preview or cue an item that might be in the on-air screen. You can see that with this brown box that's highlighting the Bob Seger band right now. And if we wanted to listen to that off-air, we just simply hit the start audition button. You can see the meters moving, and that will also play out through whatever output you have configured. And one of the things with DJB is we have multiple audio outputs that you can use. So endless possibilities when it comes to the playout of your audio, which we can talk about in just a little bit. Right now we're going to take a look at the weather GUI that is built into DJB Radio. We use AccuWeather, and the way that we actually find the forecast for your specific area is by putting in your zip code, or if you're in Canada, your postal code, and that brings you the current temperature, what it actually feels like outside, what your daytime high and your daytime lows are going to be. And then it also gives you a quick synopsis of what your forecast will be for today, tomorrow, and the third day. So it's just a quick glimpse for those that are doing live shows at getting a quick weather forecast put together. Another great feature of DJB Radio Automation. Another feature we have within the DJB Radio Automation software is called Razor Blade Editor. And what this is, I'll have to go to another screen here, but Razor Blade gives you the ability to record phone callers or record a specific segment that you want to be able to instantly play back and use within the automation system. So very basic editor, but again, another one of the many features that are built into the on-air program with DJB Radio Automation. So I mentioned before about DJB Audio being able to play multiple different sources of audio. Currently, we see player 1, 2, and 3. We have something playing out on player 2. And the reason we do this is we have overlaps. So figure a song playing under player 1, you have a jingle that would want to play in player 2, and then player 3 would be the next song that you're going to. This allows us, rather, to do a nice simple overlap of 3 different sources at the same time. And again, that is all configured within the DJB settings when you do your initial setup. Right now, this is the DJB cart wall, and this is again where you're, like you see on many automation systems, where you'll see the items that are going to be played on air. We signify what is actually playing on air a couple of different ways. One, with the red line that you see at the top. 2, with the notification on the sidebar that says on air, making it very simple to know. And then we also give you a number of different feature sets inside of that. It gives you information on your song intro, what type of ending it has, the total length of the cut, and then we can also see what cut number it is, what audio type it is, and what category we have. You can also include, when you do your setup in production, you can include liner notes if you want it in the bottom. So as you see here, we have Bob Seger in the Silver Bullet Band with Kathmandu. You could also put in here that this is the way that the song ends, either cold or has a fade. And then we also have our scheduled times of what time this is actually playing at, and of course where it fits in the actual on-air schedule. One thing that you may also notice is that we see this changing color. Much like we saw on play 1, 2, and 3, that is an indication, these 3 colors, of what player your audio is actually going to play out on. And this red pie chart that we're starting to see increase here is just another visual indication to let the operator know where you're at in this actual file. So this is essentially a countdown timer in a pie type format, again just giving you notification. We have a number of different ways of notifying the operator. This being one, we have a countdown clock that will also change color as we get closer to the end of the cut. We have the progress bar up here as well showing you, and then of course we have a traditional on-air item countdown timer that tells you the amount of time left in the physical audio track. And in addition to timing, we also have our hour countdown timer. What this is telling you is how much content you have within this hour and how much is left of that content. Right now we're going to take a look at the production module of DJB radio automation software. There's a number of different things that we want to cover in here. We're going to try and keep it simple so that you can follow along. So stay with us. We're going to do that right now. Here we are looking at the DJB radio production module. This is where the basis of the system will begin when you start loading your music into the system, creating your categories, and of course building your shells, what we refer to as shells, which is essentially your scheduling and how each day and each hour of the week is going to look for you. We're going to get into that, and I'll show you the various different modules here one by one. Right now, we're going to take a look at our engineering tab. Under engineering, this is where you can set up your satellite grids. You can edit the input and output control functions of DJB's commands to do switchers and multiple different functions. We also have the edit command cuts, and then we have our background recorder schedule, which you can set up to record different news that might be ingested into the system and played back as a time shift. And then we have our IVT audio scooper, and we can talk about many of these things in other videos. But moving on, we also have our programming tab. This is where we have log editing, so where you're able to change instantly, change and add and delete items out of the daily log. Then we have our scheduler, which is where we will take you and give you a little bit of a deeper breakdown. Then we also have our sports editor interface and our time and temperature setup, and this is all under programming. Under On Air, this is where you will find the ability to do voice tracking locally. You can edit the hotkeys in here as well. And if you wanted to change and edit the weather update for your on-air screen, you can do that through production as well. And the final stage that we have is production itself. In production, you will be able to open up and see your entire library. You can edit your multi-cuts. You can also go in and import via batch. You can do a single import. You can also do a CD rip if you're still old school and doing CDs. You can bring those in as well. You can add and delete files in and out of your library. We can do the multi-cut functions from here as well. And then we also have a built-in razor blade audio editor, which would allow you to trim the heads and tails off of songs that might have a little bit of a trailing edge and you want to just tighten things up. That is all under the razor blade editor. And then of course we have our program settings, which will take you in and allow you to do your configuration. Really, once you've done configuration, it's pretty much a one and done scenario, but that is where you will find it. And then of course the lovely green button that will exit you right out of the production program. DJB, we love to help you set up and help configure your system, but if you're a DIY type person, that's okay. You can do it yourself, and I'll show you the basic simple steps to be able to do that right now. And that is done going into the scheduler. We'll show you that on the screen right now. So here we are. We hit the scheduler button, and scheduler is going to open up a number of different tabs that you can access for reporting. You have system reports that you can pull up. We have a scheduler maintenance, and then we also have our scheduler setup. This is the area where things begin. So if you are doing the DIY, everything begins with DJB by creating your categories. So under categories, we have a number of different categories that are already created using a single letter, or if we scroll down, you can use a double letter. In this case, we've also done a numbering sequence. So you can do this as a single, a double, or you can use a combination of two numbers or a combination of a letter and a number if you needed to. So very, very flexible in that regard. But what we do is we create different categories. So as you can see here, we've created a category using the number 70, and we've labeled it 70s music. So once you have gone through and you've created things like weather, or maybe a news category or sports category, once all of that is completed, then you can move on to building and importing your library. Now, assuming that you have completed all of your categories, the next area you want to move on to is editing our shells. This is where, and again, you're seeing this as a demo, but when we click on one of these shells, this is what you're going to see in the demo mode. This is telling the system what you want each hour to do and where you want it to pull items and place in your log. So in this case, we have told the system we want you to announce the time first. After that, then we want you to go and we want you to grab a song from the R classic rock category. Then we're going to play a multi-cut liner. Then we're going to grab another track from the classic rock category, and then we've told it as well to grab something from the 70s music category. Now you can continue to insert and add different things like the internet voice track. We can announce time and temperature. There's the temperature one, there's the time, and then of course you can add liners or the multi-cuts. The endless possibilities are entirely up to you how you want to structure each and every hour. And at DJB we've made it very, very simple with a lot of copy and paste features. So in this case, we are looking at the midnight hour, and this is what we have told the system we want you to do during the midnight hour. Now, if this is going to be very similar for the remaining hours of the day, you can simply come down and you hit copy the current hour, and then you paste it into the next hour that you want to duplicate or replicate through the entire day. We also have copy and paste for line items. So for example, if I wanted to copy and paste another classic rock track in here, I would just simply hit copy, and then I would move down one step or wherever I want to place that, I hit paste, and there it is. We've just now added another song into this particular log. So you can use these 4 buttons over here to add either an audio cut, a category, a command, or a multi-cut category as well. Very, very flexible, and this is where you would also enter if you wanted to set up your policies for tempo protection, so on and so forth. It's all in here, and again, we can provide all of this to you, or you can do it yourself. Just let us know here at DJB. So what I want to do right now is I want to talk about the shells. Now you can create a number of different shells, up to 99 to be exact, and these shells will be what you use for your daily programming, or if you want to do specialty programming such as Christmas, you can do it with DJB and our shells. I'll show you how we do that. So you get, once again, under the scheduler setup, we click on Edit Our Shells. Now, as I showed you previously, we clicked on the rock demo, but this is where you could use a Sunday through Saturday using shell number 1, or you can start at number 10. Ideally, some people like to use number 25 as a Christmas shell, where you set up your scheduling for Christmas Day. Maybe you're just playing Christmas music all day. That's numbering sequentially, or just whatever works for you in the way that you set up your system. The nice thing about this is that you can have up to 99 different shells based on how you want different programs to run. So maybe you want different programming, as I said, for Christmas. Maybe you want different programming for other days that might be of importance, July 4th, these types of things, holidays of various varieties. So again, very, very flexible, and each one of these can be labeled, relabeled, and to make things simple, you can even take and you can copy, once you have made a shell, you can copy it to another location. So let's say that we wanted to take exactly what we had here and we wanted to copy that somewhere else. We click on copy, we put in the number 10, we click OK, and now just like that, we have an entire copy of that entire shell that we just showed you. And this is a really good thing to do when if you want to make changes and have similar programming, but maybe you want to add a specific segment into it. This way, everything remains the same through the course of the day, with the exception of whatever specialty programming you want to add into the system. Again, very, very flexible. That is what DJB is all about. Okay, now that we've covered how to get your categories created, going through and building your shells, and assuming that we have all of your music imported into the system, we also, up here under the Scheduler tab, have two very, very important ones. And import is what we're doing. We can import external music, or we can import external traffic. DJB Radio works with all of the major players, RCS, Music Master, Natural, and our software functions with all of those. You can do a combination of just a music import, or more commonly, most people will do a traffic import so that they can do their billing and reconcile their logs. But DJB will do it, and it will handle it very, very well. One last thing I want to show you is, assuming now you've got everything in, how do we get everything scheduled? Well, here you go. You create your daily schedule. One thing that is very, very cool about DJB, we have what we call the Grid Auto Select. If we go back in and we select 0 as our selection of what we want to put in as a shell, it's as simple as selecting the date. You pick the day that you want to start. Then you say how many days you want to go in a row. And with DJB, you can schedule up to a month if you would like. We can do 2 weeks if you want. By simply adding in a 4, we make that a 2-week schedule. And by clicking the Grid Auto Select, what it will do is, if you have different shells for Monday, let's say your Tuesday is a number 2 shell, Wednesday is number 3, Thursday is 4, so on and so forth. This will actually schedule each one of those different shells for each one of those days of the week. Now, if you live in a time zone where you have to factor in your time change, whether you spring forward or fall backwards, DJB's thought of that and made it very, very easy. What you do is you schedule that particular Sunday, and you select whether you're springing forward or springing backwards, and DJB will automatically adjust the log to compensate for that. In the event that you had to redo a log and overwrite something that you've already done, very simple. Check the box that says automatically overwrite schedules that exist, and click create schedule, and off it goes. Again, you can schedule for 1 day, you can schedule for 2 weeks, you can schedule for 30 days. The entire process is completely controllable by you and whatever needs that you require. Okay. Assuming that you have now scheduled all of your days, what you want to do is verify things are in there the way that you want them to be. Click on Log Editor, find the date that you want to look at, and we simply pull this up, and there you go. There's a look at what your log looks like for today. So currently we have the Beatles playing, and this is highlighted in red. Then we have the next 3 items that are shaded out, and the blue, all that is just the color of the cursor to move down the list. But what this is showing you is in real time what is currently playing. Now, if we went to the log for tomorrow, you wouldn't see this simply because the system is not playing that particular schedule yet. But if you wanted to move things around, you can drag and drop. If we wanted to put this liner ahead, we can do that. If you wanted to move it back, we can do that as well. If you wanted to take things and add to the list, very simply done. Again, you move this blue cursor to wherever you want. We simply come up to add event, our audio and event library rather. We click on that, and this will bring up our entire audio library, allowing us to select anything that is in the system. So if we wanted to select this Jordan Sparks song and add that over into this line that we've highlighted, we simply select highlighted blue, and we also click insert. Just like that, we've now added the song into the list for today. And this will also provide real-time updates to the on-air computer as well, meaning that as soon as the adjustment is made to the current log, this will now take effect, and that song that we've just added will now be added into the current log. Again, lots of flexibility within DJB. We're going to move on to voice tracking here next, and I'll show you how simple that can be done right here with DJB. Okay, voice tracking. One of the biggest compliments we get is about DJB voice tracking and how simple it works and how well it sounds. DJB automation has auto ducking, so what that means is that when you record a voice track and that voice track goes to play, the system is automatically going to drop the volume of the song that is currently playing, and as you're talking and leading into the next audio file, then when you're finished talking, it will ramp the audio back up for you. It does it automatically and seamlessly. Very, very cool feature. Now back to the screen, I'm going to show you here. We select a day that we want to voice track. We wait for this to pop up, and you'll see voice tracks are highlighted in green. So when we click on these voice tracks, what will simply happen? You will go using the setup you have in your studio with microphones, and you will click on the VT record, which gives you one flexible option, or you can do a simple VT record by clicking quick record. What this will do is when you click on it, it'll simply start the recording process. So when you click, you immediately say what you need to say. When you're done, you click stop, and that will automatically go into the system, and DJB automation will automatically calculate for the intro time and the end of song, and using our segue marker as well. So very, very tight and very, very well controlled voice tracks each and every time. Very important for broadcasting. Okay, the final thing that we're going to look at today is the actual production screen. I know that we call this production, and there is a lot of things within it, but here is the actual production where you can access your entire music library. And this is where, as I mentioned before, you can bring in all the different content that you need, whether that's a batch import, a single cut. If you wanted to record a new cut, you can do that within here as well. And of course, as I mentioned, if you're old school enough to be using CD, you can still rip a CD into the system as well. What we have on the left-hand side of the screen is a visual of your library. We can scroll through, you can see all the different things that we have, commercials, hotkeys, everything that's in the system that's playable will show up here. You can do multiple different searches. We have a drop-down box that will allow you to search by artist, title, length, audio type, your different category, or if you know the specific cut number you're looking for, you can search that too. We also have a way to check for your unused cuts. And by the way, DJB, one of the very few automation manufacturers out there that will allow you to import up to 100,000 cuts. So very, very expansive, and if you need to separate and categorize your music using cut numbers, you can do that with ease using DJB Radio. The other thing I want to show you on the right-hand side, this is the cut info section. So we can start with the audio type, then we have the category, and you can change the categories to whatever you want. Again, as I showed you earlier, we have the 70s music, so you can create whatever you want and categorize it as you would like. If you're a station that you're playing songs and then you want to sort of put them in a resting category because you still want to be able to play them at a later date, you can use our Dead or Alive feature. So by simply selecting whatever file you want from the library, you either select Alive or Dead. It's that simple. And that will also show up on the screen over here. So for example, if I wanted to put this commercial into a resting mode, I can simply come back over, I select Dead, and then I save the settings down at the bottom. And now what you'll notice is back over here by that commercial, it now shows the letter D, which is telling us whether that cut is alive or dead. Now, you can still play that cut if you want, but it will never schedule that cut because it has been told that it is dead. Very, very important if you want to put these things into a resting category or if you want to keep them active. Entirely up to you. Again, a lot of flexibility here with DJB. One other thing that I want to show you, this is a very cool feature. Not a lot of stations use this feature, but it is there if you want it, and that's hooks. DJB automation runs hooks. Okay, so hooks, what they are is that part of the song, usually in the chorus, that people are familiar with. So what you can do with DJB is you can set that hook, the starting point and the ending point, and then within the program, you can put a command in that says, play hooks for this hour. And what the system will automatically do, through your imaging, whoever that might be for your company, that imaging would say, coming up this hour, you'll hear this, and you'll hear this, and you'll hear this. And it will play a series of those hooks. So this, again, a very cool feature within the software. And you can also set your intro and your segue times as well in this same section. Once these are done, they sit there in the system, they're permanent, and you don't have to change them. If you found a file in your system that you also needed to edit, once again, you can open up the digital editor and you can cut off that little bit of silence at both the beginning and the end of the track, and then you would save it and exit out, and that will automatically recalculate all the information on the track, and now you've got rid of those dead spots that you don't want. Final thing that I want to show you within DJB is that we also work with album art. So if you choose when you load your files to add the album art into the system, you can certainly do that, and whatever the song would be and the accompanying album art, that will show up on both the production screen as we see it here, and it will also show up in the on-air screen also. One of the final things that I want to show you within DJB is all the different information that you can tag into the metadata for that particular file. We have the artist, we have a space for second and third artists, plus your title, of course, and if you want to get really wild and crazy and add in your composer, label, any out cue information, if you want to put in a memo or any of the ISRC information, you can do that. You can also add in what type of band this is, or whatever, if it was a group. You can do that. If it's an instrumental track, you select what you want. You can also select your tempo. Slow, medium, you get the point. So once you've set all these, again, this information is saved, and here's one really cool last feature about DJB that is really simple and great for a lot of single operations and sort of one-man band radio operations as well. When you put files in, you can set your activation date and you can set the expiry date. In addition to that, let's say that your station is going to be attending a car wash at the local church or something to that effect, and you have a promo that's running and you want that to end before the car wash is done. You can select what time of the day you want this thing to expire. So in this case, let's say that it is April the 16th and we want that to expire at 5 o'clock because the car wash isn't going to go any longer than that. Now you don't have to worry about this playing through the rest of the day or removing it from your logs. Again, a lot of flexibility built into DJB Radio. If you're a multi-station group, we also have a product for you as well called DJB Zone. A lot more bells and whistles. All the basics that you've just seen here with this demo, but a lot more. And that works with, like I said, a lot of larger multi-station clusters. So there's lots of things here for you with DJB. We have also DJB Radio Spider. We have Logger, and Logger runs from a single channel up to 24 channels to meet whatever needs and demands you might have. Reach out to us or visit our website at djbradio.com. Take care.